Thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome our 2012 commencement speaker, Justice Steve Gonzales. Before joining the Washington State Supreme Court in January, Justice Gonzales served for 10 years as a trial judge on the King County Superior Court, hearing criminal, civil, juvenile, and family law cases. He earned his bachelor's degree with honors in East Asian Studies from Pitzer College and his Juris Doctorate from the University of California, Berkeley School of Law, where he was the technical editor of La Raza Law Journal. Justice Gonzales is a frequent lecturer at continuing legal education seminars and is a mentor to students through organizations including the Future of Law Institute. Please join me in welcoming Justice Steve Gonzales to the podium.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Let me thank the faculty, staff, friends, family, and the soon-to-be graduates of WSU. When my son was 2.5 years old, he described to a neighbor my job as wearing a black dress and speaking in a microphone. So I wanted to thank all of you for making me feel so comfortable the way you're dressed. In my remarks, which I promise will be brief, I want to cover two subjects. First, I want to talk about the foundation of our democracy. And second, I want to talk about your role in that democracy. So I thought I should start with our U.S. Constitution. And I'll read to you the preamble, which is mercifully short. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. What stands out to me in the preamble to this great document is the order of things, because I believe it indicates our priorities. On review in our Constitution, justice comes first. It comes before tranquility. It comes before the common defense and even our general welfare. And I suggest to you that that order is no coincidence. It means that without justice there will be no tranquility. Without justice there is less to defend. So I urge the graduates here today to seek justice in your life and in your career, and not just for yourself, but especially for others, and especially for others who are different than you are. Let me also urge each of you, if you haven't already, to register to vote and to update your address to vote, to make sure you get a ballot. To vote in the primary on August 7th, and not just because I'll be on that ballot, but because it's a fundamental part of exercising your duty and your privilege as a citizen in this nation. Let me suggest that if you need to renew that, you can go to votingforjudges.org to learn about judicial races, and you can go to myvote.wa.gov to register to vote or to update your address. Many of you, when you graduate, might move, and without an accurate address, you won't get a ballot in the mail. Moving next to this generation and what we look to you for. Your generation, and I don't mean to disparage those of you who waited before you went to college, but your graduating class inspires the current leaders in each of our institutions, because each and every one of you can make a difference in this world. We count on you to reignite our desire that sometimes years in our profession has dampened, to reignite it with a renewed sense of justice and duty to protect our liberty. I believe in the promise of this nation, in the American dream, and I suggest to you that I and each of you are examples of it. Like so many of you, I was the first in my family to go to college. Unfortunately, my high school career counselor wasn't much help, and I was on my own when I decided to go to college. And I lived in a college town. It was Claremont, California. So I decided I'd go and apply, and I went into the admissions office to the first college I encountered and asked for an application. The person behind the desk said, "Well, is this for you?" And I began to get a chip on my shoulder about what might come next, and I said, "Why, yes, it is." And she said, "Well, Scripps is a women's college." So then I really wanted to go there. But undaunted, I walked to the very next college, and that happened to be Pitzer, and that's where I ended up studying. And my reason for going to college was I wanted more opportunity and more of a chance in this life. But once I got there, I realized it was much more than just that. It was the chance to begin and to continue being a lifelong learner. I majored in East Asian studies, I lived in Japan, and I lived in China, and I learned those languages. And I was able to use that information and that knowledge in my career as an attorney. I worked in international business, I became a prosecutor and worked on international terrorism cases. And in my remarks today, again, I want to convey my belief in our nation and the principles upon which it was founded. I'm a public servant, and there are a number of public servants here, and a number of you will become public servants. We must strive to be worthy of the positions we fill. But even if we're not public servants, if we're in private business or some other walk of life, if we're in academia, our duty is to guard this democracy, which is so fragile and at times messy. Indeed, Winston Churchill described democracy as the worst form of government in the world, except for every other form we've tried from time to time. And Benjamin Franklin cautioned us as well, saying that any society that would give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and will lose both. I suggest that you are the guardians of our liberty. And there's a saying that my grandfather had when I was growing up. He said that in marriage, you have to do 80% of the work to make sure you're doing your half. And I think he said this in part because he wanted my grandmother to feel better about the fact that she was really doing 80% of the work. But the other meaning, the more practical and less cynical one, is that we often amplify our own efforts and fail to see the efforts of others. And if we're not truly doing more than we think is our share, we're not doing our part. So I ask you to serve, and to serve when no one is watching, to serve when no one says thank you, and to serve because the need is great and it is the right thing to do. We are struggling through partisan strife, and I urge you not to join that sort of strife, but to find a path for progress, to find a way to bring people together rather than to polarize. I thank you for the opportunity to speak here and the enthusiastic welcome that I've received from faculty and students. I look forward to getting to know you better and to returning to your campus and your community. Whether my time on the Supreme Court is long or short, I promise to treat it with respect for the institution, for our past, and for our future. I'll close with the final refrain from America the Beautiful. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control and thy liberty in law. Congratulations, students.